We're going to dive much deeper as the team finally takes the field, and we kind of get to see, because we haven't been able to see what you really can expect from anyone out here, Santana. We've had no mini camps, no OTAs, and already we're trying to predict roster positions and how they're going to look, and we just don't know until they're out there. That's what the coaches have been saying. All right now, it's just been evaluation on film and what they're doing in the offseason with their workout videos, which we've seen a good bit of. So it's time here with the O's. A lot of those offseason workouts that we've seen has been Dwayne Haskins Jr. It's been very well documented that he's looking pretty svelte. I mean, he's lost a good bit of weight. He's been paying more attention to his diet. He's been on the field. You've seen him working out with Antonio Brown, with Odell Beckham Jr.'s, with a lot of the rookies as well from last season in his class. Unfortunately, Kelvin Harmon injured his leg. He is out for this season. They had such high hopes for him to really take some big steps. He's not out there. But when you talk about coming into your sophomore year, like, how much does that really help them? I mean, they got more playing time than most rookies did because, well, they had to last season. I think they played more rookies and more times than any other team in the league. How much can we really expect this group, this young group, to make strides in year two?
Well, it's going to be tough. You know, one of the things that I heard out the gate when I was a pro is the sophomore slump. Luckily and fortunately, I got hurt my first year, so the second year was basically my first year all over again.
Okay, whoever uses the word fortunate with injury, just you, okay.
It was fortunate for me, but when you look at these guys and how they played last year, out the gate, all these guys showed great potential. Even Haskins with the little bit of time that he got here and there. I believe, though, now learning the system. You know, one of the things people take for granted is learning the system. When you're young and now you're on your second system in your second season, that's really tough. So I'm looking forward to see how these guys handle that first. I think as a coaching staff, they're not going to throw the book at them because, especially with COVID and then just, being young and then having to, mature into this new offense and the scheme of things, they're going to basically, give it to them as much as they could at a time and see how much they can take. But I'm looking for them to go out there and not miss a beat. I think they're all mature enough to go out there and handle the situation. Like I spoke before, being a pro is being a pro. You're going to be thrown in a lot of situations that you're not familiar with, and you have to overcome it.
Again, you saw a lot of them. I mean, Terry McLaurin kind of came on the scene right off the bat. You saw during camp last year that he just stood out, neck and shoulders above the rest. So almost got to 1,000 yards last season. You expect high hopes from him. But even as he said, one of the reasons he's anticipating a little bit more challenges this year is because there's tape on him.
Yeah.
You didn't have that before. Is that part of the reason why you get sophomore slumps, or what is the big cause for why maybe things might teeter off in the second year?
Well, when you get in the sophomore slump, who knows what's the cause, but I think that he said it well. Now he has tape on him, so it's going to be interesting to see how he reacts to those guys now game planning for him. But with that being said, when you scheme things around a guy like him, that's going to open doors for everyone else. And when you had a guy like Sims Jr. who got off last year, we was looking forward to Harmon, but he's not going to, unfortunately, he's not going to be with us this year. But you have a lot of other guys that you can really now say, hey, this door is open for someone to take over this job. Another Cam is out there that we hope in wearing the number that I'm familiar with, we can hope that he can probably have a chance, and see if he can get into the thick of things. But with AG, Antonio Gibson, and then you have AGG, what is his name, Gandy Golden. Gandy Golden was one of my favorite, pickups for this team this year. I was hoping that we got him, and now we have him in door. I think that this door is wide open for those guys to have a shot to be where Terryton was at last year in their freshman year.
It's kind of crazy to think that the veterans on this team, especially when it does come to that, they're just sophomores. Yeah. They're just in their second year, and they have more experience than a lot of them coming into this offense there. When you do watch the videos, I'm just kind of curious. Okay, so Dwayne's out there, and he's showing he's putting in the work.
Yeah.
From what I'm hearing, and I've heard even Terry McLaurin say this, like the ball's just coming out different. He's improving the accuracy. It's falling in the right places. But that's just when they are not on the field with the team. How much do you think those workouts really kind of impact coming together, or is it just kind of, okay, that looks great, it looks like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, but now we got to see how it translates out here? Well,
it translates well because it goes hands to hand. One of the things about repetition is getting those reps in. Muscle memory. When he's out there doing what he's doing by himself, he's going to bring that to the field because he's practicing it. And when you're practicing your craft, you're getting a chance to give your body that notion is this is what I need to do when I'm put in this situation come game time or come practice. One of the things that I looked at first is his weight. And that showed me enough right there that he's mature enough to know that, hey, in order for me to excel at this level, I have to be, ready, physically and mentally. And I think that he handled that well, and I'm looking forward to see what he can do. I think it's his job out the gate, regardless of what, system we have in there. And I'm pretty sure that these coaches know his, his skill set, and they're going to make sure that they put him in a situation so he can excel well.
One of the things I've also noticed in his posts and what I've learned from him as well is that not only is he putting in extra work, he's out there throwing the balls, he's getting those reps, as you said, getting those reps with the players, but he's also paying really close attention to his body, getting those little things done, making sure that his muscles and his body care is taken care of. And that's something that I think has to make sure as you go into your professional years, year-round, that those little things can't come up. That little extra deep tissue massages and all. I don't know what you call all that stuff.
You got to take care of that body. One of the things I talk to you about a lot is it took me a while to understand that, but when I caught on, I took off, and that was the best thing happened to my career.
All right, so lots of hopes for Haskins to come into this. I mean, believing that, look, it's his team, and that's going to be a big difference. And even when I was chatting with him, he said there's a lot more confidence coming in this year because he doesn't have that, Case Keenum or Colt McCoy or uncertainty or what's going on with Alex Smith going around. This is his team, and it's his job pretty much to lose. But as coach has referenced many times, there's still going to be a competition. There has to be. And he says, I don't really care where you're picked, how much money you're making. You have to go out there and you have to earn it. And we're anticipating Dwayne Haskins Jr. doing that. But you also have Kyle Allen out there. So if we're talking about who he's going to be competing against, he's going to go against a quarterback that played in Carolina, that knows Scott Turner's system, that had success in it, also had a knack for maybe throwing a few interceptions. That's something he's going to have to turn down or work on if he goes forward. But how much experience of him in this system do you think will impact where he goes heading into this, especially if maybe he knows the system a little bit better than Haskins coming in?
I always loved to, watch the guys that knew more than me, regardless of who that guy might be, your competition or not. I play close attention to what they're doing right and wrong, so I know what to do and what not to do. So having Cal here is basically, most might not see it as a plus, but I think it's a plus for Haskins because now he can really watch a guy who knows the system and know how to make those calls and what to do in certain situations. But when it comes to skill sets, I believe Haskins win. He has the bigger arm, he can elude tacklers, and he can just get the ball down the field to anybody at any given time. So I think it's his job, like I said, out the gate, but having a guy like Cal here is only going to help him mature a little faster in the system.
What makes it interesting as well is, of course, we've all been following very closely the development and the recovery of Alex Smith and how he's been coming back. Look, he's out there, he's practicing, he's making a case for it. He hasn't been cleared for contact. That's going to be something I think you have to weigh very heavily on. And I wouldn't want to be on the defense that has to try and go after him and be the one that has to risk that. I mean, his journey is absolutely outstanding. Whether he gets on the field or not, I mean, he's a voice in that locker room in that quarterback room as well.
Yeah, his leadership has been here from day one, whether he was out there with the guys playing and since he was taken away from the game. I'm just happy for him, being a guy that loved this game meant everything to me, and I remember having those opportunities. I cherished them every day, so I know he's cherishing this moment that he can literally be out there with the fellas again.
All right, so we talked a little bit about the wide receivers. Of course, Terry McLaurin, Steven Sims Jr. came on late. We're going to look forward to Antonio Gandy Golden. These G's are going to be catching people up. AGG and AG.
I'm abbreviating everything from now on.
Fair enough.
AG and AGG.
We'll have to make sure when we talk to them that that's okay if there's any other way to go along. So yeah, it's going to be exciting to see how this group develops, and it's really kind of wide open to see who's going to be able to take over, even when you get into tight end. We'll get into that a little bit later. You're going to need some definite playmakers to step up, because if you have Haskins and that arm, and Kyle Allen that can throw as well, you have to have somebody that can stretch that field. So let's now hear, though, from the quarterback coach on the quarterback room and how he sees it developing. Here is Ken Zampese.
Quick question. When you plugged in the tape on Dwayne last year, could you give us like one or two things that you really liked, one or two things that maybe stuck out that he really needs to hone in on? And in your opinion, and I know it's hard to compare because you weren't here last year, was he put in a situation at all to succeed?
Yeah, I can't speak on last year. I know those coaches very, very well. Jay and I work together. I know he's fantastic, so we'll leave that at that. What I saw on the tape from Dwayne, he's very quick with the ball. A very short, quick stroke. He's accurate. He can repeat the same stroke over and over again. And those are the things that got me excited. Once he sees it, the ball comes off his hands very, very quickly. There's no wind up. There's no wasted motion or wasted movements. He's very, very efficient. And I love that part about him. He throws with touch and accuracy. And I just think there's a lot of meat on that bone to get, and he's just starting. He's just figuring it out. And I think the atmosphere of the building with Coach Rivera will bring the best out of him.
Santana, you talk as if you know what it's like to work with a quarterback. I think Tana's had like 15 different quarterbacks he worked with in his career. Look, as Zampese says, they're going to make sure they give it to him in edible bites to kind of just slowly bring them along, not overwhelm them all at once. Look, the system underneath Gruden was very complicated. They're going to take their time with this. And really what they're wanting to see from him is that same thing that Gruden or that Rivera said when he first came in, is that leadership. How is he going to handle that part of it and step in?
Mental toughness, and that's one of the things about this league. If you can handle the things that you go in and day out and the things that you're not, that's not expected, then you can be a great player in this level. And I think that he has what it takes. Now it's all about seeing it done.
I've talked with a lot of different quarterback coaches around the league, and they said, look, you can have all the intangibles, but you have to be a leader in that locker room if you want to be a successful, winning quarterback. So, look, it's Dwayne Haskins' job to lose, but we will see how that all plays out once camp begins.